Hey, what's going on, boys and girls? It's Stu. So, here's another pretty late Wales log for Star Rail, Honkai Star Rail, month of September 2023. So, here we go. Let's get started. I believe our new characters for the last month were, well, obviously Daniel Alter. I'm pretty sure we already went over Kafka, right? From last month. I vaguely remember discussing Kafka from last month. I mean, she's been in the game for a decent amount of time by this point, so yeah. Because before Daniel Alter, we had... no, Daniel Alter is the first character for 1.3, I believe. Yeah. Because Fushuan is coming up next week, and she's second half of 1.3. So yeah, I believe we've already gone over Kafka, and Kafka was the second character of 1.2. So yeah, technically the only new character we've had since her was Daniel Alter. So let's go over him now. So yeah, I've got his ass at level 80. Obviously he's only at E0 because I cannot afford to roll for any more constellations right now. Especially considering I would like to roll E2 on Fushuan, but even then I'm not sure if I can do that. I'll have to see. I'll have to roll her to E0 first and see if I can spare more change to get her to E2. But we'll see. In any case, this is my Daniel Alter stats right now: 58.9% crit rate, so almost 60%, and 150 crit damage actually. So that's quite a lot. These are his detailed stats: about 3,600 HP, 2,600 attack, decent chunk of defense. He's about 127 speed. Yeah, so there you go. He's got a decent amount of break effect as his as substats from his relics. Attack percent rope, not energy. I believe that's his best in slot anyway. And then a little bit of tiny bit of effect EHR, not that he really needs it, and slight bit of effect res. And he's got his own light cone, obviously, at level 80 as well. And I've maxed out his trace tree as far as I can take it, because obviously from here on he'll need tracks of destiny. I don't want to give them to him just yet, but I've gotten everything else for him in the meantime. I have him on 4-piece imaginary set. I believe the two sets that he works with best are imaginary or musketeer. I've been told that technically his best slot is actually musketeer, but I had imaginary pieces already ready to go for him, so I have him on imaginary. That and what is it? The 4-piece effect, giving him 10% more crit rate, helps whenever it actually is relevant. And the extra crit damage doesn't hurt either, specifically against imprisoned enemies. Though to be fair, if I want to take advantage of that 10% extra crit rate, then that means that I have to run with like a dedicated debuffer of some kind, which is fine. I mean, he doesn't need the extra crit rate anyway, but it is nice to have, to be fair. He's also running 2-piece ceiling station. I believe that's the best one on him. It's either that or maybe Rutilant Arena, I guess. Because I believe the Rutilant Arena set increases, their basic attack damage by 20%. So he actually would benefit quite a lot from that, actually, now that I think about it. But yeah, I guess I could switch him off to that. But that would mean that I would need to guarantee he gets 70%. I guess I could pray hope and pray that his Rutilant Arena pieces get enough crit rate stats. But imagine getting actual good ornament pieces. Couldn't be me. In any case. Oh yeah, I gotta. Speaking of substats, I gotta show you his pieces individually. So I believe this was one of my this was an old hand-me-down from Welt. I believe this my Welt used to use this headpiece that I've kept around because it's got a lot of crit damage. So yeah, gave it to Daniel Alter. This is his gloves. Initially this was a pretty promising piece, because I believe this is a 4-line starter, I'm pretty sure. So I was like, oh yeah, double crit, nothing can go wrong with this, right? And it proceeds to roll 3 times in the break effect, so that's lovely. But at least it's double crit. These are his speed boots. Surprisingly, this did not turn out as bad as I thought, though it kind of blows that it didn't roll anything into crit damage, but I mean, he already has a lot of crit damage anyway, so I guess, you know, it's whatever, but oh well. I mean, at this point, it would have been better if it weren't crit damage, but, you know, crit rate instead. But in any case, this is his body piece. This is the reason why he has so much crit damage. Because, yeah, I gave him a crit damage body piece for whatever reason. Well, not for whatever reason. He's got, his trace tree gives him free crit rate, in case you didn't know that for some reason. Right here. Gets, just like Genuine, he gets free 2.7, 6.7, 13%? Or am I doing my math wrong? I'm probably doing my math wrong. 6.7, 6.7, 12%. Okay, yeah, not 13, 12%. So, yeah. So whenever you have a character in Star Rail, who has, or even in Genshin for that matter, who gets free crit rate as either their Ascension stat in the case of Genshin, or you know in Star Rail as bonus trace stats, yeah, it's a lot easier for you to run the opposite crit stat body on them. So crit damage in the case of Daniel Alter, and so yeah, that's why I've given him that. And surprisingly, he turned out to have pretty decent crit rate anyway. So, why do I keep exiting out of the character menu? But yeah, that's his body piece. Decent. Kind of wish it rolled more into crit rate, though. And his space ceiling stations. This one's the attack percent rope. I think this is the only one I had for him, so I didn't really have much of a choice. And so, you know, Star Rail, or MiHoYo being MiHoYo, this piece promptly rolled 4 times into flat attack and defense, which is phenomenal. Just what I wanted, clearly. And this is imaginary planar. I guess this could have been worse. At least it got a lot of break effect for what that's worth. But yeah, would have liked more crit damage, ideally. But yeah, that's my Daniel Alter for you. He does work, I will say. I mean, I've been hearing every time I stream Star Rail, I always have a couple people come into my chat asking me, oh, what do you think about Daniel Alter? He's so broken, right? And shit like that. He's very strong. I do not think he's broken, though. Because, one, whenever you hear, for example, either the Genshin or Star Rail player base say that something is broken, or, you know, put forth an opinion on something that's supposed to be meta, or on the topic of meta, I tend not to take their opinions very seriously, because most of them have no idea what the fuck meta means, or what real meta looks like, or how to gauge a character's true strength. I'll trust the TC boys, the smart boys, the theory crafters, whatnot, because they're actually working with the math, so they have a much better idea and understanding what, you know, broken means or what strong means. But the vast majority of the player base who just kind of parrots whatever the smart boys say, or whatever they hear their favorite content creator say, either on YouTube or on Twitch or whatever, they probably don't know what the fuck they're talking about. So for my opinion, speaking of people who don't know what they're talking about, for my take, my hot take is that I don't think Daniel Alter is busted, because even though he does a lot of damage, he has a very clear drawback in that he fucking eats skill points like it's nobody's business, right? Just because of how his skill and basic attack synergy works, right? Because you use skill points up to 3 times to enhance his basic attacks. To make them stronger, and while that's obviously very strong, or when you enhance his basic, it gets really strong. I mean, hell, even his single enhanced basic attack is pretty fucking good. It comes at the cost of like completely destroying your skill point management, right? So that's his drawback, and so you have to work. You it's not something that you can just pass off. Just you know, do whatever the hell you want. No, you got to deal with it in some way by either, you know, micromanaging Daniel's skill uses a little bit better, so that he's not always just spamming three skill points in a row and just blasting the fuck out of whoever he hits or whoever you're facing every single time you have like 3 skill points, and leave no skill points at all whatsoever for the rest of your team. Or you build a specialized team around him, right? You give him supports and healers where they don't need a lot of skill points at all. So that way, Daniel Alter can use most of it as freely as he can. Characters like Tingyun, for example. Tingyun, Luocha, whoever else who doesn't really need a lot of skill points for themselves. So that way, Daniel Alter can, basically hog them all to himself. But the disadvantage with that is that you're forced to run a particular team, which you might not like using, or more realistically, if you go into like MOC or something, maybe that team isn't ideal because there might be an element there that you need to cover, but all of your available supports for him don't provide that element, right? So that way it's kind of hard to break enemies, and no matter how strong Daniel Alter is, if you're not breaking enemies in like MOC 8, 9, or 10, you're kind of fucked. So unless your Daniel is so fucking cracked or has such cracked artifacts or relics rather that that you literally don't need to care, but that's not most people. So yeah, there is my rationale for my hot take as to why I don't think Daniel Alter is broken, because if a character were truly broken, they would have no downsides. Like that would be the minimum requirement for me, or they would have to be so absurdly broken in some way that that it just eclipses all of their other drawbacks so ridiculously hard that like I would have no choice but to call them broken. Daniel Alter, he is extremely strong. I don't disagree with people who are putting him on like, for example, on the Star Rail tier list, like putting him like even higher than Selly. Like I'll give him that. Though even then I still think Selly is the best character and best DPS in the game. It's just that, is he broken? Like so many people are saying? No, in part because people fling around words like broken and busted way too fucking much. I'm guilty of that sometimes too, so I'm not blameless from that. But in this case, yeah, I do think that a lot of players are just kind of throwing around the word broken with not really much context. They just look at how much damage he does, and he's so broken, he just one-shots everybody. I mean, sure, but if you want to try to clear SU5, Swarm 5 on your first try with Daniel Alter, if you think he's that broken, go right on ahead. I'll wait. So yeah, unlike most people, I don't think that the measure of how broken a character is just their damage alone, and that's it. So, anyways, that concludes my my hot take on Daniel Alter. Very strong. Definitely pick him up if you want an imaginary carry. But is he broken? No, he's got some clear downsides that you got to work with. You can't just ignore. And so yeah, there's that. Anyways, that's my rant on Daniel Alter there. Let's see. I'm not sure if I've shared my completed physical MC yet. But yeah, now that I did get Gepard. I did get Geppy finally. He spooked me when I was going for Daniel Alter. So I was kind of hoping I would get Himiko instead. But hey, new character's new character. And I'll probably build him anyway, because I would probably like to run some like preservation shenanigans on like Swarm or something, but not now because I'm busy prepping for Lynx and Fushwin next week. But other than that, yeah, I've decided to commit my my MC to physical for now because I don't really need her on Pyro or on Fire. What is it? Preservation? No, yeah, Preservation. Yeah, I keep forgetting Pyro is her Fire Trailblazer is on Preservation. But yeah, I've reverted her back to Destruction because I felt like I needed a physical character, and so I just decided to build up my my main character, and here we go. I got her S5 Fall of an Aeon. She's also level 80. Her stats aren't the best, unfortunately. Her crit rate is good. It's decent. But her crit damage is kind of lacking, obviously. Her relics are also not the best either, considering how little I've farmed like physical relics or throughout the duration of Star Rail so far, ever since it came out. But in any case, yeah, her trace tree on Destruction is basically almost maxed out. What surprised me is that even though technically Trailblazer is a 5-star character, you actually don't need to use a Track of Destiny to get her there ability levels to 11. Like obviously for every character you can max out their basic attack, without having to use a track of destiny. But for all 5 stars except for the main character, they start needing tracks of destiny starting from levels 10 to 11 and then 11 to 12. But I guess Trailblazer is different in that she doesn't need or they don't need a track of destiny to go from their level 10 to 11 upgrade, whereas from their 11 to 12 upgrades they do. So yeah, that was kind of surprising actually. So yeah, naturally I leveled them all the way up to leveled her all the way up to 11, rather than just 10 and leaving it at that. All right, so these are her relics. Obviously, I've got her on 4-piece space healing station. I've also working her with a 2-piece space healing station as well. So yeah, as you can see, her relics are not the best. I mean, this one's actually pretty decent and got, you know, all relevant substats at least. A decent chunk of a crit rate, so that's nice. This one is technically double crit. This one is actually one of her better ones actually, because it's giving her a ton of crit damage. So definitely an irreplaceable one considering she needs more crit damage. This is her crit rate body piece. This one used to be my Luca's body piece, but then I took it from him to give it to my my Trailblazer because I figured I would be using her more than Luca. And so yeah, my Luca currently does not have a crit rate body piece, so I gotta look for another one for him at some point. I guess whenever I decide to go back and try to get my physical Trailblazers some better relics. Like for example, her boots are absolute trash. Like what the fuck is this? I mean, these boots would be so much better if they only had like crit damage and that's it. Like as long as it had like a crit damage substat and that's the only relevant substat it had, like I'd actually be happy with that. Considering it's the one stat that my Trailblazer really needs. So that my Stell really needs. So anyways, this is her her attack rope. I don't think she needs energy rope, I'm pretty sure. It's giving her a lot of crit rate, so that's nice. And this is our physical inset planar. This was double crit, and then it proceeded to roll 4 times into frickin' flat HP and attack. So, yeah, fuck you, MiHoYo. Thanks a lot. So yeah. I would like to say it's a decent planar, but if I say that, I'm just gonna get depressed all over again. As if I'm not depressed already, sitting with literally less than like $5,000 in my bank account, wondering how the fuck I'm gonna pay mortgage for the next 3 months. But in any case, but yeah, that's it for her relics, I'm pretty sure. And obviously, this is physical Trailblazer, so we have all of her Eidolons at this point. So yeah, I've been using my physical Trailblazer for like farming and stuff. I'm not sure if I would say she's like MOC ready. I would have to give her, like, at least she would have to have at least 100% crit damage for me to like feel comfortable running her as like a dedicated physical DPS and MOC. I mean, I guess I could try anyway. I'd probably make it work. But yeah, I would like to have a little bit better crit stats if possible. Oh. Like maybe 70% crit rate, 110, 120% crit damage, you know. Is that so much to ask for? But yeah, there's that. So, for upcoming characters, obviously we've got Fushuen and Lynx coming up. And so yeah, I've been prepping for them for the past like week or so, ever since my Daniel altar was completed. Or ever since I finished working on my Daniel altar. So I already have all of Fushuen's materials ready to go, as you can see here. Her preservation materials. These should include her ascensions, her skills, or her ability level ups, and her unique light cone, or her gacha light cone. So yeah, this should cover everything. I also just finished farming all of the abundance materials for Lynx. I already have her light cone ready to go. I believe I plan on using the battle pass light cone. Which one was it again? It's a 4-star level 81. Yeah, this one. Warmth shortens cold nights. Not sure if this is her best one, but I mean it has her on it, so may as well. And in case she wants another light cone for some reason, I'll just, you know, level that one up for her. What else? So yeah, got her abundance materials for her. Banking up tracks of destiny. Obviously, gonna max out Fushuen as soon as I can. I believe she needs something crazy like 12 freaking tracks of destiny or something. So it's gonna be quite the grind to get all those for her. Like, I thought at the beginning of the game that, oh my god, they're just throwing us tracks of destiny all the freaking time. And then now I realize, oh yeah, wait a minute, there's a reason why they gave us all those tracks of destiny. So yeah, I'm gonna have to save, like, I think 2 of them to unlock Lynx's bonus abilities, but the rest are gonna go into Fushuan, obviously. So, but yeah, I'm banking up my credits. Later this week I'm gonna have to farm their relics. So yeah, I believe that'll just about do it. I am just like in Genshin, I am procrastinating on my events because I have not even started the Arum Alley event at all. I gotta get on this at some point because I only have a week left on it, a little over a week. I did play through the new Swarm game mode. I've streamed it, I think, twice now, 2 or 3 times. I've done a couple streams of me playing through Swarm. So if you guys want to check out the VODs for those, they're over at my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/ToastNumber98. If you guys want to watch my first attempts at that. So yeah, SU 1 to 3 are pretty manageable, but towards the end of SU 3, I think you can start, as a player, you should be able to tell that, oh yeah, like, these enemies are getting tougher and tougher. But I've mentioned this, I've discussed this pretty extensively on stream, but I'm actually a little disappointed with how miHoYo decided to handle the difficulty for SU4 and SU5. SU4, I was able to do it in one try, I think, 1 or 2 tries, because, like, I already have a really heavily invested account. So that was not really a problem for me. But for most players, like most free-to-play players, are going to have a problem with going through SU4, at least during the first time through. And I think I've tried SU5, Swarm 5 as I like to call it, twice now, and both times I lost. Or I just gave up because, like, one of my key characters died, and there was no point in me trying to continue it. So. But yeah, the reason why I'm actually pretty disappointed with how they handled Swarm 5. This might be very pedantic, or this might sound very pedantic, or me just super nitpicking, so I apologize if I come off that, I come off that way. But bear with me here, let me cook for a little bit. All they did to increase the difficulty for Swarm 5, or just accumulating the higher Swarm difficulty you go, the harder it gets. But the way they did it was just the laziest way possible, in the sense of, oh yeah, we're just gonna give all the enemies more health and more attack. So by the time you get to SU5, enemies have so much HP, and they have so much attack that even mobs can just randomly fucking one-shot your characters. Usually it's not just out of the blue, like it's your first battle on plane 1. Oh, you do your first battle, and like the starter mob just like smacks a character in the face and instantly kills them. It's not that bad, but it can get that bad, especially with mobs that give each other attack buffs. Like, for example, the Belobog miner dude with the spear, where one of his moves is to, like, buff another enemy on his team to make them do more damage. If he does that, oh man, yeah, they can absolutely just one shot, or like chunk one of your characters to like 80-90% of their health. Another example is the Belobog, like, artillery people, where they give one of their moves is like they buff one of their teammates or something like that. Same thing, right? Same thing there. So that's all they did. And the reason why I say it's lazy balancing, if you want to call it that, is that what I expect out of, like, more, better balancing is like diversifying enemy behavior, like attacks or whatever, make them do different shit, instead of just arbitrarily just, like, give them more health, give them more attack, because so many fucking games do that, man. Like, it's the easiest way of making like harder difficulties, and it's so freaking lazy, man. I've played so many games like that where they just do that shit, and I'm just kind of over it, That being said, I do understand that the whole point of Swarm 5 is that you're not supposed to be able to do it in one try. Like you're supposed to grind it out instead of like maybe grind out the lower difficulties where you know you can beat them. And then once you've like upgraded your swarm like stat tree or whatever it's called or whatever the heck it does, then you can go take on like SU5 and it should be a lot easier then. So I guess all my complaining here is like kind of pointless because I mean it's a gacha game. What did you expect, right? But still, I still can't help but feel kind of disappointed that that's all they did for making like the swarm difficulties harder, right? Because if they had actually taken the time, like gone out of their way to like diversify the gameplay as you go up the difficulty for the swarm game mode, then I would cut them some slack. Like for example, if they had like I think SU5, like if they made the maps like a lot bigger for like Swarm 5, then which they may have done actually, because I know in SU4, Swarm 4, and Swarm 5, the Plane 2 maps are actually pretty big. And I don't remember if they were that big in like for example Swarm 3, and so maybe they did make the maps bigger, the plane maps bigger for the higher difficulties, which is one of the things that I would have suggested to make like to make the difficulties harder rather than just crank up HP or attack values for all the enemies there. But yeah, like do things along those lines where you actually diversify the swarm gameplay within its own game mode. The deeper you get into it, right? Instead of just again for like the fourth or fifth time, all you're doing is just giving enemies more HP and more attack, so that way it's harder to kill them. Like giving them more HP and attack is fine, like if they do it like a little bit or a moderate amount, but it would have been a lot more interesting if, like for example, the swarm bugs had different attacks, for example, and they do more diverse things other than just like multiply and just fucking mitosis and spit at you and kamikaze into you. Like if they had more attacks they could use to keep you on your toes, that I would have appreciated that much more than just oh, here they are, here are the same enemies you've been fighting throughout all of Swarm. They're just gonna fucking smack you into the ground for like 90% of your health now. So again, might sound like me just bitching for no reason. It's just as someone who's rather deeply invested into Star Rail's like endgame content, because as a Genshin player, this is kind of shit I kind of wanted for Genshin. I want to see MiHoYo do these kinds of updates well, and so seeing them do something like this, like overall the Swarm game mode is good. It's just it's got some flaws that I wish they didn't make. But yeah, nothing we can do about it now, obviously. So, other than just, grind it out and eventually beat it within maybe a week's time or so. However much time I spend on Swarm. So, yeah. Speaking of which, I gotta go grind Swarm myself, too, because got all these rewards that I can get, and I certainly need them, so. Anyways, but yeah, there's my rant about the Swarm game mode in Star Rail. I still do like it, despite me spending like the last like 10 or 15 minutes bitching about it. Specifically about like how they decide to handle the difficulty for it. But overall, I like it. I think it's a great update for sure. So I'm not saying that like the Swarm game mode shouldn't exist at all. Obviously not. Especially when if you complete it all, it gives you like 4,500 stellar gauges or something, which is great, obviously. But yeah, just wanted to give my hot takes there. So, in any case, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next month. Peace.